We're all still feeling the stress of the high grocery prices, and going through a drive-thru multiple times a week just is not feasible for me and my family. So today I'm giving you dirt cheap dinners. When my kids hit up Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or whatever, they cannot get out of there for less than like 13 bucks a person. We're not doing that. My goal today is to bring you a dinner you can feed your family for less than the price of one meal in a drive-thru. To me, it all starts with strategy and your shopping. So we're gonna head to the store and I'm gonna show you how I do it. First thing I do is I start with my proteins. Inexpensive meat options are generally found in ground options, frozen and fresh. Also found in the canned section like canned tuna, chicken, and salmon. Next, I head to the items that are gonna bulk up my meal. Those are the starches. Let's go. Rice, pasta, and potatoes are good options. Beans can also work here. Canned dough options such as biscuit, pizza, or crescent dough are awesome choices. And don't forget about bread products. They're used for way more than just sandwiches. Then you've got to hit up the vegetables. It's important to add veggies in for fiber and nutrition. The frozen aisle has the best options, and to me, they're the closest to fresh if fresh is too pricey. Things like onions and garlic are super cheap and should be considered pantry staples. You can definitely stretch out a meal like this and add great flavor for not a lot of money. When it comes to the canned vegetable options, I like corn and tomatoes. Otherwise, I prefer frozen over canned. We have a salad with almost every meal, and it's just a great way to add nutrition for not a lot of money. It is always cheaper to buy the whole head of lettuce versus the pre-chopped stuff. And the final component are ingredients that just tie it all together. Cream cheese or regular cheese, or some of our favorite, the cream of soups. These are just a lot of ingredients combined into one. They're just savers. You need them in your pantry. I got all of this for right at like $30. However, if you have a stocked pantry and fridge, like I'm sure you do by now after watching so many of these videos, you could probably get all this for like 15 bucks. So while I'm able to nail these dinners down for your family for 10 bucks a piece, that's like less than $3 a person, I bet you could even do it cheaper. I'm gonna start with a chicken noodle casserole. This meal really is gonna have a lot of protein, minimal ingredients, lots of flavor, and this is like your comfort meal of the week. And because I know you love a recipe, Allrecipes has a million recipes for the ingredients that you have. So I found this recipe for chicken and pasta casserole with mixed vegetables. That's basically what I'm going to make. Although the recipe starts with like fresh chicken cut into chunks, I'm using this. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna make it work. I feel like everybody's probably made this before. You're gonna start by cooking your pasta. Besides having budget constraints, we also have time constraints. So these recipes are also going to be for those who are short on time and money. Okay, I don't use canned chicken very much. Although if you're just simply opposed to this, you can totally get like chicken thighs, are usually very cheap. And then the cream ofs. Now, I don't always love to use this because I have everything on hand to make cream of chicken at home. If you've got butter, if you've got flour, if you've got broth or milk or even water, you can do this. The goal is not to prove that I am a chef. Whenever I'm working with something canned, I always like to zhuzh it up, and you can do that with pantry staples. Things like mayonnaise, milk, cheeses that you have on hand. You know, just kind of like wakes up the canned things. About a quarter cup of cheese. Again, all this is optional. Also gonna add in some cracked pepper. And then in with the mixed vegetables. You can switch up these veggies with things that you like. Now all I gotta do is add in the pasta and throw it into the oven. You want it to be slightly creamier before you bake it than it's gonna end up because it's gonna absorb some as it cooks. I'm also gonna add in some salt and pepper. All right, and then you can just stop right here. You can sprinkle it with a little more Parmesan cheese. I'm gonna add a little topping, melt a little butter, and then in the pantry always, Italian breadcrumbs. You could do crackers or chips, and then sprinkle it on top. This is a heavy pan and a lot of food for 10 bucks. Into the oven till it's browned and bubbly. Look at this. Well, this is the perfect comfort meal right here. Look at that. This reminds me of my childhood. I mean, it's the complete meal. You got your meat, your veggies, all in one. Tastes like my childhood too. I mean, it's like a cross between the tuna noodle casserole meets chicken pot pie. This will please the whole family. You know, you forget that we used canned chicken anyway. This is also more than 4 servings. It would feed my family of 5 with leftovers. I mean, less than $2 a person. That's a dirt cheap dinner. Next up, jambalaya with stewed okra and tomatoes, because I love okra, so it's kind of like gumbo meets jambalaya. So this one is $3, $4, $5, like $6 for the main thing. So I was able to get a side for another $2. So $8 for this. I found this sausage for $2 more. So I might add some of that in. I don't know. A shortcut that I love here is the seasoning blend. It has the trinity that you find in Cajun cooking, which is, you know, bell peppers, onions, and celery. And then it also has some parsley in there too. So I had the ingredients. I knew what I could make. Also went to allrecipes.com just to see if I can link a recipe for you. It is called Easy Cajun Jambalaya. So the only thing I'm doing to keep it budget friendly is that it calls for chicken and sausage, and I'm just using the sausage. I think for 4 people, 1 pound of this sausage is good. I have 5 in my family, so I'm just gonna add in a little more and know that I'm still keeping it dirt cheap. That's the extent of the prep. Let's head to the stove. In with a little oil or butter, whatever you have. Bacon grease would be good here. All right, I'm gonna go in with the sausage, and the fat is gonna render out of it and kind of carry flavor throughout the whole dish. Brown that up a little bit, and then I'll add in the veggies. A lot of ingredients, no prep needed. Convenience products have their place. Onions and peppers are actually one of the easier vegetables to freeze. They keep their integrity. Cook that for about a minute, and then I'll go in with the rice. All right, so you wanna toast the rice up a little bit. Make sure that each grain of rice gets like coated in that oil. That way when you go to cook it, it kind of stays separated a little bit. I'm also gonna add in a little flavor from the pantry. Some paprika for color, a little Cajun seasoning, a little Worcestershire, and a little hot sauce. Since I have 2 cups of rice, I need about 4 cups of liquid. So I'll do this plus like a can of water. All right, just scrape up any bits from the bottom. We've cleaned the pot. I'm gonna go in with a bay leaf and then just bring this up to a boil, reduce it to a simmer, cover it, and let it go until all that liquid's absorbed. Since our main dish for the jambalaya is really just the meat and the starch, I'm going to incorporate a veggie side. And I'm going in with like 1/5 of an onion. Maybe a little garlic too. Let that soften, and then I'm going in with my okra and tomatoes. I couldn't believe that this can of tomatoes was 52 cents. So these are pantry staples that don't go bad, and they can, you know, help create a meal. Your future self thanks you for things like that. And then you just let this cook down until the okra is soft. This will be the perfect accompaniment to the jambalaya. I'm also gonna season this with a little salt and pepper, or whatever you wanna do. You can add a little Cajun seasoning in here. You could add bacon, you can do whatever you want. Smelling like New Orleans. And the perfect accompaniment. This is my favorite kind of food. If you know me, you already know that. My stewed okra and tomatoes right on the side. I'm gonna add a little hot sauce to everything. This does not taste like a budget meal at all. This is also our cheapest one of the day. This meal is less than $10. We're talking $8 or $9 and easily feeds 6 people. $1.25, $1.50 per person. That's a dirt cheap dinner. Now it's time for my taco bake. Now this one might be our most expensive one of the day, but it still comes in at under the cost of my daughter's order from Chick-fil-A. Right around $13 for this one. And it's also because I bought everything needed for it. I am gonna add in a little bit of chopped onion. If you wanted to factor that in, you're looking at like 30 cents or something. I wanna make this mixture a little bit saucy, so you can do that a couple different ways. To keep it within budget, I got a can of like chili tomatoes, or you could use something like Rotel or whatever the store brand is. This is like 60 cents. Or you could do salsa. If you wanna like serve it with salsa at the end, you can get like a bigger jar of salsa and put like half in this mixture and then half on the side. So this came in at still under $2, but it's your choice here. I'm also adding refried beans. When you mix this in with just a pound of meat, it really stretches the meat. It still keeps it like bulky and hearty and filling. I'm gonna start with my onion. Let those start for a minute, and then in goes your ground meat. Again, I'm using ground turkey. You could also do chicken. You could do beef, but your turkey is gonna be like one of your cheapest options. Ground turkey doesn't get as dark as ground beef, but we're gonna fix that by adding in all the flavor. And then instead of all the water, I'm going in with the tomatoes. And to bulk it up, the refried beans. It makes the whole mixture like really creamy. And then if you need to add a little water or salsa at this point, do it. You want it to be saucy yet thick. So now what we're gonna make is like a taco lasagna. I'm gonna like pretty heavily butter the bottom of my dish. So because I've got a square dish, I wanna try to make like straight sides on my tortillas. So I'm gonna cut them in half and kind of layer them in. And then in goes our taco mixture. Each layer is going to be your meat and bean mixture and then a little sprinkle of cheese. So you can use as many tortillas depending on the size of your casserole dish. Should be able to get like 4 to 5 layers. All right, that's it. Into the oven, 375, till it's all browned and bubbly. You know the drill. When it comes to serving this, you want to top it however you like to top your tacos. For my family, we love like lots of lettuce. So that's kind of my veggie here also. I bought that, whole head for $2. Won't even use it all. And then whatever you have in your fridge, sometimes I just do a little like hot sauce, maybe a little sour cream, whatever you're feeling. Like most casseroles, you should probably wait a little bit before you serve it, but who's got that kind of time? You kind of see the layers of tortilla with all the cheesy, meaty goodness. This is a great meal to do in advance. You can even like bake it off and then freeze it like this and then just cut it and serve it. And I'm gonna put my toppings right on top like I would my tacos. This is a very hearty serving and there's 5 to 6 servings in here. Comes out to like less than $3 a person. Even though it's our most expensive dinner, it's still a dirt cheap dinner. Perfect bite. You're like, I eat this kind of stuff all the time. How could this be any different? But the way it just like cooks together, those beans make it so like creamy. There's a ton of flavor in this, a little kick of spice. It's like the ultimate burrito bake meets enchiladas. It's filling, it's hearty, it's so full of flavor. This is like the most satisfying dirt cheap dinner I've ever had. Even with grocery prices the way they are, I hope I've still proven that you can eat on a budget. Dirt cheap dinners for the win. Remember, the key to serving up delicious meals on a budget is kind of sticking to that formula. You've got your protein, your starches, your veggies, and the ingredient that ties it all together. If you can remember that when you shop, I guarantee you can feed your family delicious dirt cheap dinners without having to get in your car and go to a drive-thru. We did it.